Here we are again, 1976. A few changes in the band. Unfortunately, Mick left, so we lost our unique sound as it was then. But in those years, we had a lot of fun. We did our first tour actually when the album came out, or Wind and Rain was a bit of a hit across the country, so we did a tour. Our first stop was Cooma, up in the mountains, because we were number one in Cooma. We left in 2 station wagons. We had a roadie who didn't drive, Jerry Can, we called him, but he played really good harmonica. And we left, I think I was in Ted's car. Somehow or other we got as far as Gippsland and ran out of petrol. And there's no petrol station around, so we had to sleep outside this petrol station waiting until the guy came in and opened up the next day so we could buy some petrol. But we got to Cooma and did the radio station and all that kind of stuff. We were big stars in Cooma. Went to the town hall and suddenly realised that we were doing a concert there, because we're a pub band. We played, people talked and ate and fought and do whatever they did in pubs. And but this was to be a sit-down concert. Now we just had a little PA and a couple of lights in the town hall. Typical old town hall with a balcony. The chairs were all laid out nicely, right in front of the stage. So we came out and did our thing. It was a great night actually, except that when we got to the point of playing Wind and Rain, all these people got up and left. We couldn't figure out what was going on. Turned out that they'd lifted a space behind the chairs downstairs for people to dance, which is under the balcony, which we couldn't see. So they got up to go out and dance to the song, and then came back again. We then went on to Canberra. We played at a big venue there. Jerry was really good. He'd get up and he got so excited one night playing his harmonica. He got the crowd going, "Everybody clap your hands." He clap with his harmonica in his hands and came out in about 15 pieces. So at that night, the night we played in Canberra, we had a support band, and they were I think they were called the Gambale Brothers. Anyone who knows guitar players will know of Frank Gambale, and anyone who's ever bought strings on mail order, as it was then, not like long before computers, will know of Pro Music in Canberra, who became the biggest mail order music business in Australia. But this night, the Gambale brothers were the older. Nunzio was the older brother, and Frank was about 15. He was a young kid. Now, there was something special about this kid. He had a brand new Les Paul guitar, black Les Paul custom, and a brand new Fender amp. And boy, could he play. We were talking to this kid, and he showed us his guitar, and he had all the wrong strings on. He had nickel strings and bronze strings, and he said, "I can't get strings here. There's no music shop in Canberra." So I don't know how it came about that his brother and their family started the biggest music business. But so I gave him a set of strings, and he came along and played with us at Canberra University the next night. It was just magical. This kid's 15. I mean, Frank Gambale now, I think he's about to tour Australia again. He's been in America for years. He's just one of the top jazz fusion guitar players in the world. But this night would have been his first night playing, because we used to do long jams back then. We had 3 or 4 songs that would just go on forever. We didn't know how they were going to go with. Because we had a Dynacord PA, and John Creech used to do all the mixing. We used to do our own mixing from the stage. John would have the actual mixer, which didn't look like a modern mixer, just had a few knobs on it, but also the echo unit, and he would be doing all kinds of really clever stuff, through the sound system, and Frank just took to it like a duck to water. So I've never forgotten that. But and we went on to Sydney and did a few things there. Mike Burke tells me we didn't get paid for the tour. I don't remember that, but if he says it's true, it probably is. But we got dudded somewhere along the line. But I don't think there's a band in the world that hasn't been through that at some stage. Mike left, then Laurie came back into our band, and that was interesting. We went to we had a contract to go to Perth for a month, and Ted Fry had announced to me the week before about to leave that he couldn't go because he had a job with M&R Amps, which is anyone knows M&R Amps. They were a great local company, made great stuff. I used to spend a lot of time at the factory just hanging out. But anyway, he couldn't go, so I was left with a bit of a dilemma. But I knew Nigel Thompson. Nigel had helped us out on a couple of gigs, and not so much a roadie, but he'd helped us out a few things. He knew all the stuff, he knew all our gear, and so I rang him up at about 1 o'clock in the morning and said, "You want to join the band?" So he joined the band and came with us to Perth. That was a lot of fun. We were over there to open a new nightclub called Beethoven's, and we were there for a month, and it was a hell of a job. We had one of the first things we had to do was back Delilah. She didn't like us at all. When she's singing "Help Me Make It Through the Night," she said, "Why are you all making this sound like a country song?" To which I said, "Well, tell Chris Christopherson that it isn't." But she didn't like us at all, and because we weren't a backing band, and Ricky May, we had to back him as well. So it was a very interesting month. We stayed at a hotel at Kewdale. We got raided by the drug squad one morning. If you know me, you just know that's ridiculous. The only thing they would have found was vitamin pills and headache tablets. But they sort of burst into it. We had 4 rooms, long, just all side by side, and a common sort of garden thing outside each room. And anyway, I was in bed one day, and next thing, bang, bang, and these guys sort of burst through the door. And I just looked up and said, "What?" He said, "Oh." And they were in really bad clothes. It's like they'd gone down to, they obviously thought they were plainclothes cops, but it wasn't plain. Looked like they got them from the Brotherhood or something. And they said, "Oh, we're from the DS." And I said, "Oh, what's the DS?" "Oh, the drug squad." "Oh, fair enough." So they found nothing and moved on, but we had a lot of fun while we were over there. A few other stories, I'll save those for the book. We got back alive from there. We used to meet every night because we had to go down. I think we started about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or something and played till 3 o'clock in the morning. And we'd meet up. We had the 4 separate rooms, and we'd meet up at 7 o'clock to watch Hogan's Heroes. I've never forgotten that. That's a big part of the day, rock and roll. Well, Laurie stayed for a couple of years. It wasn't working out that well. Then Ray Eames joined Screamy, who was well known for his stuff in the Blue Echoes. Funny man, and a great friend. Ray and I loved country music. We used to meet up at his place or my place after gigs before he joined the band, and listen to the latest Waylon Jennings album, or the one that he introduced me to was Will the Circle Be Unbroken, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band thing. So I in that one album, I discovered a whole lot of. If you're not familiar with the album, Nitty Gritty Dirt Band got together some of the legends of country music, older people like Mother Maybelle Carter and Merle Travis and Doc Watson people, and just basically recorded this album pretty much live. And it's a triple album, and we would just pour over it. I think I know all the dialogue off it, but that was Screamy and me. We're great mates. He joined the band, and we had a lot of fun, but it wasn't working out. I think the western suburbs were dragging him back somewhere. We used to play at the Golden Gate. I'll get to that later on Saturday afternoons. And Screamer was missing little cues. It wasn't coming in at the right time of things. I couldn't figure out. Because at the Golden Gate we used to basically sit around as if we were jamming, because I'll explain it to you later, but he was sitting sort of next to me, and I noticed this little wire hanging out of his ear, and I realised that he had his tranny was a radio back then, yeah, had his he had no friends, sitting there, and he had a little wire hanging out. He was listening to the Western Bulldogs, or Footscray as they still were then. It was his favourite team. So I said, it's not working out, is it, Ray? So he left and went back to the Blue Echoes, which that was his main band anyway. And then that's when Gavin Anderson joined. It's funny, the chronology is a bit strange, because I remember at the Golden Gate, maybe Gavin must have left for a while, then Screamer came in, because I know that Gavin was in the band when we started at the Golden Gate, and all the people at Golden Gate was just, we played there Wednesday nights and Saturday afternoons in South Melbourne. The only place we could play was behind the bar. It was there were 3 rooms. There was a small front bar here, main bar in front of us, and there was another bar over the other side. So it was like a big U-shaped bar, but we were in what was actually the bottle shop, and because I remember Gavin was there when we looked at the gig, so it must have, but no, guys came and went, and I looked at the job and I thought, this is a bit weird, because we couldn't set up as a band and look at anywhere, because the crowd was right around us. So I decided that the only way we could do the job was to treat it as if we were in a room rehearsing, like looking at each other. You know, John would have his drums here, Nigel stood next to me here, and Gavin was there, and Screamy at some stage, so it must have been like this, I've forgotten. But, and there's a little doorway leading in there, so I'd go in last, and I sat on a stool, basically. I was last in, blocking the hole, and we played to each other. And the speakers were out in the crowd. So, and it worked really well. We were there and we played there up until about 1988, from 1976 right through, Saturday afternoons and Wednesday nights. And it was always packed. It was ridiculously packed. I don't think you'd be allowed to do that now. We couldn't get out of where we were. We couldn't get out of the bar, because you couldn't get in the crowd, couldn't move through it. They were just jammed in. And a few people came along and sort of played with us at that place. Took some great photos. I remember Bobby Bright, and had a few different bands when people went away on holiday. Can't remember. I can't for the life of me remember how Gavin was there at the start and there he wasn't. He must have left and come back again. Which is... with Gavin, anything could happen. Saw him last night, as a matter of fact. He was playing great. He was playing with... I went along to see Ronnie Charles, and Ronnie Charles band, and Gavin was playing, and Roger McLaughlin, and John Grant. Drummer's name I don't know, but he was a great drummer, and it was a bit of a reunion. Brian Cadd was there. It wasn't a big crowd. I knew everybody, but it was a good crowd and a great band. So, but that band continued on. I'll tell you in another story. At that same time, in 1975 and 76, I started working in music publishing for Image Music, and I used to go away overseas. I'd go to Europe and to America every year with John McDonald and Ron Tudor and Keith Collius and all from the company, and we would go to the music fairs. But I'll tell you, there's some great stories from those days. But it worked well for the band as well, because we Bluestone went to America, supported by the Australian Trade Commission or something like that. We went to play in Miami at a thing called Musexpo. Mid-M is the European one. Musexpo is the American one. It was held in Miami that year, but we went to America. We played at the Palomino in Los Angeles, which is a legendary club. John Beeland, one of my favourite guitar players, joined us that night, but we did very well at the Palomino. So and then we went across to Miami. We went to Nashville as well, and recorded a song with Alan Reynolds. There's Alan. He's up there somewhere. Oh, it's Alan Reynolds, who went on to produce Garth Brooks. At that stage, he was only producing Don Williams and a few other people. He was doing pretty good. So we toured America with Bluestone at that stage. We recorded another album. I met Buzz Cason, who he had a big hit in Australia, but he was a successful producer and songwriter. He had a hit in the 60s with I think the song was called Garden of Eden. We could never go back to the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve had a sin, which is Buzz Cason's song. But I was in France at Mid-M, it's a trade fair, just like anything, like any other trade, the music trade. You take music to markets, and you bring music back from markets. That's how it used to work. And I was at Musexpo at the end of the day, just about finished. We had a booth, and we would take songs that we'd recorded here, try to get covers for them in different markets and get them placed, and then people would try and sell us tracks. And Buzz Cason came along in a little briefcase, and everyone else had gone. I was just still on our booth, and I always remember he had a little cigar in a long coat, and he said, "Y'all got time to hear one more song?" I said, "Oh, sure, this sounds good." So we had these little plastic record players. They were just dreadful, and you wouldn't even get them at Aldi on the throw out. But the little plastic record players. And anyway, because everything was on vinyl at that stage. There's no cassettes or anything, you reel-to-reel tape, but everything was done on vinyl. And he played me a song called "She Believes in Me," and which was written by a guy called Steve Gibb. And that became a huge hit for Kenny Rogers. And so I signed that song I'll explain all that later, I signed that song for us to represent the song in Australia, and it made a lot of money for our company. So that was my one big thing while I worked for Image. But Buzz Cason then came out to Australia and produced an album for Bluestone. Didn't go all that well, I think. probably the band at that stage was not gelling together like it should. There was bands only last so long. There's always a bit of unrest. So it wasn't the happiest time, but it wasn't. But Buzz did that album, and I'll probably get to listen to it one day. We got nothing out of that. Then it all kind of fell apart. Bluestone was a bit sad. It happened for a long time. But turned out rather well, actually, as it turned out, because I started another 40 years with Dean and Carruthers straight after that. So that worked rather well. When the band told me they didn't want to work with me anymore, I was naturally upset, but the venue said, we don't care who you play with, because we want you here. So I stayed at the Golden Gate. I got a band called the Clayton Brothers, who I'd seen at an event sometime. There's three guys, and they were the funniest guys and great players. So I played with the Clayton Brothers for a couple of years, and then John and Nigel and I all kissed and made up. Gavin wasn't here; he'd moved to Queensland, and so they came back again and played for another, I don't know, 2 or 3 years at the Golden Gate, up to about 1988. And Jamie, my son, became the guitar player. So he started his career as our guitar player in Bluestone, and from that, Jamie went on to he did a tour with Bobby Bright and Laurie Allen, when he was about 18, and that led to another tour. He went on and toured with Kylie Minogue for 2 years after that. It's just great how all these things sort of fall into place for different people. But that was the end of the Bluestone era. We've done a couple of reunions since then. They've been successful and fun to do, but things come and things go. So next time I'll tell you a bit more about that Image years, because there's a few stories in there. See you then.
Just look at this mess that I'm in. For a gentle lover, you're a terrible friend. I swore I'd never get this close again, but I can't seem to stop myself from falling. You wanna come see me tonight? I gotta be strong, I know it's not right. I gotta hold on, put up some kind of fight, but I'm naming the time and the place again. 'Cause I just can't say no to you, though I know I'd be better off too. But my heart won't admit that it's true, and I just can't say no to you. I guess I never understood, but something so wrong could seem so good. And would I give it up even if I could? Come call and let me fall with you. 'Cause I just can't say no to you, though I know I'd be better can't say no to you. Tell me, when will it end? Break it off and then we're back again. And I just can't say no to you, even though I'd be better off to. But my heart won't admit that it's true, and I just can't say no. No, I just can't say no to you, even though I'd be better off to. But my heart won't admit that it's true, and I just can't say no to you. She walks in the room, the men turn around with a smile on their faces, and you can't hear a sound. She sits next to him and she orders some wine, and he says hello, oh, it's been a long, long time. They get up and dance, and he holds her tight, and two lonely people try to kill Saturday night. Oh, it's those gentle persuasions and one-night occasions. Nobody knows who you've been. You say that you're strong, but the nights get so long. Now that you're single again, you're single again. Now that you are free, you can be who you wanna be. You can see who you wanna see. Or can you, baby? They're playing the last song, and she knows it's time for the same old question. He says, your place or mine? She wants to say yes, but she's gotta say no. There's something inside her that just won't let her go. They kiss goodnight, and on come the lights, and two lonely people finally kill Saturday night. Oh, it's those gentle persuasions and one-night occasions. Nobody knows who you've been. You say that you're strong, but the nights get so long. Now that you're single again, you're single again. Lord, it's those gentle persuasions and one-night occasions. Nobody knows